Carlos Alcaraz wins his third round match at Wimbledon against Jan-Lennard Struff. We have a 35-year-old German who played pretty decently today. But Carlos wins it 6-1, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. Jan-Lennard Struff did pretty good. You'd have to say 10 double faults though. He had many serving errors, as you can see throughout the match, but he did also have 13 aces, which shows you that he's one of those servers when it's going well, it's going really well. Very powerful serve, very high, and it dips really well, and maybe it just confuses the returner. But also 10 double faults, which means that he doesn't always know when and how to pick his spots, and it could also bite him. But he did pretty well in his serve. He didn't have a great first serve percentage, but 5 break points that he faced, and he did break Carlos twice. He broke Carlos twice, both of those in the same set, in the second set, when Carlos actually broke him early, but then Struff broke him twice in order to grab that second set. But Carlos did what he needed to do in the final 2 sets. Carlos didn't serve great, but today it was kind of like the flary Carlos. It wasn't the, malicious, agonizing, huge forehands and just power and energy and tenacity. We did see a little bit of that, but it was more just cute little drop shots that you can't get to. Backhands where I stretch out my racket. I think he even didn't let go of his racket, like what happened at Roland Garros last month, but he stretched out his racket as far as he could to get, a far shot and hit it on opposite court. A little bit more of that flary sizzle type Carlos that we saw today, and it was super entertaining. That's the Carlos that you like to see. He did make quite a few errors, like sometimes he is prone to do, like every tennis player is prone to do, but him especially being so young and being so rawly talented, he may do from time to time. But overall, he's pretty clean. 73% win percentage on first serve, 12 break point opportunities, broke him 5 times. First set, he absolutely ran through him 6-1. It just seemed like Struff was no match for him, but then he got his rhythm back in the second set. Carlos made a few mistakes, but he did what he needed to do when it's all said and done. He will face Andre Rublev on Sunday, which will be by far his biggest test of Wimbledon so far. Andre Rublev is right now ranked 14, but I know he's been ranked as 8-7 not that long ago, and he's been playing really, really well recently. So you have to say that he could pose a threat to Carlos. I don't think there's any chance he wins, but he could pose a threat. Yannick played him at Roland Garros last month, and Yannick took him apart. But like we say, styles make fights, surfaces do as well, and it looks like it'll be a good test for Carlos, even though I still favor him heavily. But yeah, Carlos Alcaraz did what he needed to do. He's such a fun player to watch. I mean, there's very few players during our lifetimes that has been as fun to watch. Obviously, the big three, especially Federer, you'd have to say in terms of pure joy you got when you watch them. Like, damn, that guy is entertaining. That's Carlos for sure, because he just always shows you something new, something you're like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. The way he lets off his drop shots, the way that he swings his forehands, the way that he grips the racket to do a backhand. It's just so unique to him. The vamoses that he lets out, the random times when he tried something and didn't work and he starts smiling. He only does that because he knows, look, I can beat you. I'm only smiling just because it would have been cute if that happened, but I'm going to beat you and probably pretty easily. So the way that he's also the sweetest and nicest guy from the distance when looking at him, but just a monster on the tennis court. That guy, don't know what to say about him. I can speak forever about him. But like I said, and like I'll say this 1,000 times, this doesn't change the story. The story is Djokovic, Sinner, especially Sinner, and who knows who'll be the next guy. Maybe Taylor Fritz. Jack Draper obviously lost in wild fashion against Klisic. That was an interesting matchup, especially when you heavily favor the British player in his home tournament, Wimbledon. But no Draper, so you have to say Sinner and Djokovic, because Zverev's also out as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But it doesn't change the story at all. Those are the guys that Alcaraz is going to have to go through. Obviously, he's more than capable of doing it. As we've seen, he's the back-to-back Wimbledon champion, and he just beat Yannick last month in a dramatic epic. But we'll see if he's able to do it. Let's see if some of these mistakes, some of these 5-setters, some of these matches where you don't look as sharp, if it comes back to bite him at the end, in the quarters, in the semifinals, in the finals. I don't believe that they will, just because Carlos is too good. But you never know. You never know. Every match is different in tennis, and you never know just how much that may get to him. But Carlos Alcaraz just does what he needs to do. Like, these early matches of Grand Slams for the best players, they're not even really they're less impressive and they're more just you executed exactly what I thought you would do. Of course, we're always, marveled at someone being so great, and especially when they're so young, and we start to think, maybe we're projecting too far in the future, but we start to think, could this guy eventually be one of the greatest players in the world and one of the greatest players that we've ever seen? He's already one of the greatest players in the world, but one of the greatest players that we've ever seen in that big three category. So yeah, and I believe that he has a shot to do that. Let's see how he ages, because that's going to be the important thing. When I watch Carlos, I'm like, how is this guy going to age? Because I don't know the math, but I think Djokovic won like half of his slams after turning 30. Federer was still winning slams at 35 and 36. Nadal, won 2 slams at 30, 35 and 36, I believe he was in 2022. They were winning late. With somebody as rawly athletic as him, how much of a downward spiral will his career take as he gets older? I don't think it'll be that bad. I think he'll maneuver his ways and improve it in different ways so that it's not all about athleticism. It's not all about being able to run around the court and getting to every ball and you not being able to hit a drop shot because he'll get to it. Even overhead smashes, he can get to them. It's not all about that. It's like LeBron in basketball, for instance. Even though he was the greatest athlete when he was young, he's still one of the best players in the world at 40 because it's not all about athleticism. And he's also a freak of nature, and he's still more athletic than 90% of the league. It's pretty crazy. But Carlos, let's see what he does later rounds. He is so fun to watch on this surface as well because the ball moves so quickly. It being so fast, it's just perfectly acclimated to his fast-paced game. So yeah, Alcaraz, big up to him again. He's just phenomenal, and he's so much fun to watch. But let's see how much longer he can continue being fun to watch at Wimbledon.